Hi, I'm
Hello.
Candice Harris from
Long time no
BoardGameGeek.
see.
Hi, Heiko. Seriously, I'm here with Heiko from Heidelberg Games, and we're taking a look at one of their new releases in the Spicy series, Anansi. Hey, Heiko. Now,
Right.
this box looks pretty interesting. I'm very curious to hear how Anansi plays. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Okay.
And Anansi is, in fact, a trick-taking game. Yeah. And it is in our series, and it also has this wonderful metal look, and it's pink metal. It's like, and also the cards will have this the back with metal foiling. Yeah. So it's something we do now with our card games, a little bit shiny, as we did with Coyote before. And
Cool.
I'm happy that we managed to get both games out at the same time. So yeah, Anansi. So sadly, because your copy didn't arrive in time because of the world does not work as it
This
should at the
little
moment.
right.
And
Little pandemic
so
thing.
what we have, we will have to show and explain it a little bit to you. Sadly, we cannot really try to play it because in trick-taking game, it's very important that you see your hand and no one else.
Right.
And yeah. So Anansi is okay. I have to admit first, this is another game which already existed before in a different format, and it was a game made from a French publisher called BlackRock, and they focus very much on the French market. And when they offered the game to us, I really loved it, but there was never a chance for us to do it in Germany or somewhere else. So this is long ago, and as the game never really left France, I asked them just a year ago. I say, "Hey guys, what's happened with that game?" And they say, "Yeah, we are okay, but yeah, well." So I thought, "Can I have it?" Yeah, and so
And
we
they
said
said
yes.
yes.
And then the game was called Eternity, and it got great reviews. But still, it's in a way I think it was not visible enough. So what we did, we took the game, but mechanically where the game was in my eyes just right. Yeah. So we love to tinker with things and try to make them better and cooler and nicer. And sometimes the thing is like there's no way how we didn't find a way to optimize that game. So we
Gotcha.
kept it very close to original. And but what we did, we took a different setting, we changed the art style, the format. So, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with Anansi, the character.
I'm not super familiar with Anansi, the character.
Okay, let's say people who watched the TV series American Gods probably have heard of him.
Okay.
And so
gotcha.
this is, yeah. So this is, let's say, besides people who know him or knew him before, is like this. I think what transferred him in an audience outside of his cultural origins. So Anansi is in a way a spider god, originated usually in the western regions of Africa. And let's say there was a time when many people were brought to different shores by force and brought, of course, their culture with them. So Anansi traveled in a way with them in his stories. And in the Caribbean region, is like Anansi is everywhere. So there's child stories. It's like, as we know some children's stories, Anansi is also a guy. And well, we spoke about Coyote before. I have to say Anansi is, is he a good guy? I would say he's a little bit of a trickster, and he's not always very honest. Yeah. But the stories of Anansi is like from children wise or from adult version, you can say we always have a moral to it too. Yeah, and it's like being greedy is never working out for you. It's a very good moral usually.
Right.
You can find in Anansi stories. Yeah. The interesting part of Anansi is that, of course, with all the cultural origins, so even in the African nations, it's depending from tribal origin, it's very different. Anansi, how he looks, Anansi, how he is, who he is, what he does, his stories, they're all different. And of course, the Anansi told in the Caribbean is very different from the version we know from the African continent. So it's like, in a way, it's the question like, what story do you tell? So we made one of the stories, but we don't claim to have the Anansi story because it's impossible.
Okay, gotcha.
So the game itself is about trick taking, yeah. And let's say the charm I think about Anansi is you try to collect tricks like in everything, but now we speak about greed and moral and everything. There's a very nice story we wrapped about it, but I'm not sure if we have the time today to tell it.
Probably not, but we'll look out for it on your website.
Yeah, and yes, and we will continue bringing more information about the cultural background. And for us, it was also important to find artists who have sort of like, let's say, I didn't want to hire some artist from somewhere who has no connection and has no clue who the hell is Anansi. What do I know about him? So we looked from people from the African continent, but even there, Anansi is in regional is very different, and it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy to find someone. It's also like, I don't want to say, okay, how much do you know Anansi when you can make a drawing for us? Yeah, that's a weird pitch.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we did a good job, and we find people of color who were willing and very creative in approaching how to display Anansi. And let's say it's not traditional. It's not like there's not a guy running through the desert and whatever doing things. It's a little bit punky and modern, and I think that's just fine because you can tell Anansi stories however you like it.
Very cool.
Good. So the trick taking is. Let's say the trick in this trick-taking game is like that there's a trump color, as in many games, but you are able to manage the trump colors. So while you play, you can change it. So there's 3 colors. There's yellow, there's purple, and there's turquoise, greenish blue. You could say, yeah. And all these 3 suits, we have cards to also tell a story. So the cards from 1 to 14, I think, is it? Yeah, from 1 to 14, where the artwork is different and tells a little bit story. The problem is, if you don't know the story, I'm not sure if you can get it out from the pictures alone.
Gotcha. But it's something you can look into.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you can follow up. And so the thing is like in every trump game, you play a card, someone else plays a card, and then, of course, the highest number usually gets the trick. You have to play the same color. But there's one way you can just say, when it's your turn, you play a card, but you don't play it in the middle with a trick. You can play it in front of you. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and this card doesn't have to have the same color. You can just play whatever you want. Yeah. Say, okay, let's say I play this card, and this is not part of a trick. And every card has symbols on it. Below the number, there's little symbols. That's hats. It's very not easy to see. Okay, because one thing is just getting tricks is not what you want. The thing is, like, we are collecting stories, and the idea is stories are worthless if you have no one to tell them. So when I play a card like this, I collect 2, let's say, listeners. Yeah. And these listeners, they can be inspired by the tricks, let's say the stories I collect later. So, and the idea is, on one hand, I want to collect tricks, but I need exactly as many visitors if I want to do the rest. So this is the not inspired, and this is the inspired person who has a story.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So you play this card in front of you, and now you can collect 2 listeners, yeah, and it's great. And now, sometime later in the game, you just need to make sure you get also 2 tricks.
Okay.
Because now you have 2 people, yeah. So you need 2 stories, and this same card is also then changing the trump color, yeah, because the color who has the most cards on it is the actual trump. Yeah.
Gotcha. So the players are manipulating the trump color. Gotcha.
So when you play this card in front of you, so you collect your listeners, you are not part of a trick, and you change the trump version. So it's like in Wizard in a way, you need to try to match exactly what you want, but there's a dynamic play. Yeah. So like during play, maybe you start like, hey, now I have 4 listeners and I have no trick, still meaning I need 4 tricks.
Now you got to try to win the tricks. Okay.
Yeah. So, but because you can play cards in front of you, you can of course manage that. It's like, okay, maybe I don't take two, just one listener, or maybe none, and I just want
Yeah,
to
you're
change the trump color. Yeah.
trying to balance
But
it.
the problem is not everybody can do it. Depending on the number of players, only 1 or 2 people can do it in a trip.
So
So if
Heiko,
I did this, yeah.
we have to wrap it up a little bit. Yeah, could you maybe just tell us how does the game end, or how do you win? Is it like a certain amount of rounds you play?
Yeah, so you play several rounds, and it's, let's say it's 3 rounds.
3.
Yes. And you get extra points per round. Yeah, and if you manage exactly to get what you wanted, it's like, hey, I have 2 tricks and I have two listeners, perfect. You get bonus points, and these bonus points get higher and higher. And in the last round, in the third round, they are really high. So even if you had the first 2 rounds were not really strong, you still have a small chance to win in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's
Awesome.
basically it. And yeah, so it's let's say from a kind of play, it's very original. It's very how to play this game. You get better and better every turn. Yeah, so it's a very unique feeling, and I really love it, and that's why we did it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Heiko. Yeah, I love very unique trick-taking games, and the art here. I'm very curious to hear more about this story. So thanks for giving us a quick look at Anansi.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a pity. Trick-taking games are not easy to show.
Yeah.
But I hope I did my way. Yeah. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks again.